Hello, my amazing listeners. Today's podcast is going to be a bit different because not only is Tall Tale TV officially 2 years old, it also has over 200 episodes. Holy freaking cow, how did that happen? I honestly never thought I would hit this point. But the writing community and the listening community have been incredible. In all honesty, I figured this was going to be like most of my weird ideas that just fizzle out after a few months. But no, the writers were intrigued and the listeners apparently like what I do. This is by far the biggest project I have ever worked on, and it just keeps growing. For instance, I try not to look at my analytics too often because I don't want Tall Tale TV to become a numbers game to me. But I just checked, and across all its platforms, the channel has over 50,000 listens. We can now say that Tall Tale TV has hundreds of episodes, thousands of followers, and tens of thousands of listens. You guys are amazing. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without your support, none of this would have happened. And I know that's cliché, but it's true. As long as people want to listen, I want to keep doing this. So now, heading into year 3, I am working on a few things that will hopefully lead to some significant changes. One of those changes is I want to start paying the writers. It's something I've wanted to do from the beginning, but I don't have the personal funds, and Tall Tale TV isn't exactly built on a money-generating business model. But I have a few ideas brewing, and with a bit of luck, I'll be able to work up something later this year to get that started. I also have a few other ideas for fresh content up my sleeve, but a lot of that will depend on if I can work any free time into my schedule. So, yeah, they probably won't happen. But one can dream. And lastly, I do have something to admit. Today actually isn't Tall Tale TV's 2nd anniversary. It was almost 2 weeks ago. For some reason, I had it in my head that it was April 13th instead of March 13th. Once I realized my mistake, I freaked out because I had been planning on writing a 3rd chapter to my yearly Mechanistry series. I use it as kind of a milestone to show how far I've come as a narrator. So I pulled a few strings, swapped a few dates, and started working on Mechanistry 3, A Few Screws Loose. It turns out, planning, writing, editing, and then narrating a story in 2 days is a bit more difficult than I had figured. So, yeah, I will be publishing Mechanistry 3 on my next available slot, which isn't until the first week of May. Instead, I present for your listening pleasure an example of just how far this channel has come. For all you new listeners, here is a re-release of Tall Tale TV's very first episode, Mechanistry. Thank you once again, and enjoy. Mechanistry, written by Christopher Herron. Nault lifted his clipboard like a protective shield.
Is it supposed to do that?
The mechanical dog began to shake, smoke billowing from its hindquarters. Nault coughed as the acrid cloud began to fill the campus courtyard. It obscured the mismatched patchwork of buildings that surrounded the small clearing.
Course it is.
Stokes raised an eyebrow, as if daring Nault to argue.
What else do you expect it to do?
The dog gave a loud bang. Nault tried to cover more of himself with the wafer-thin barrier. As luck would have it, he had just the right amount of muscle tone to actually fit. This appeared to mollify Stokes. His mustache bristled as he knelt beside the patchwork pup. After a quick inspection, he began the technical process of tuning its internal logic matrix. The process comprised of clanging a brass hammer against its left haunch. The smoke sputtered and died. So did the rest of the dog.
Hand me that precision omni torsion adjuster.
Omni what?
Nault reached into an overflowing toolbox. Stokes sighed.
The screwdriver.
Nault's brow furrowed. He hauled out a screwdriver that looked more suited to battle than tightening screws. He wasn't sure why a screwdriver would need 4 prongs, a serrated blade, and a small level, but someone had felt the need to weld them on. Stokes snatched the travesty from Nault's outstretched hands. It looked tiny in his massive grip. But then again, Stokes was the kind of man that could use a shovel as a spoon and nobody would notice. Nault pushed his safety glasses farther up on his thin nose and took a long step back, half expecting, well, he didn't know what he was expecting. But the standard safety protocol stated that when assisting a senior mechanist, the recommended distance to stand was keep running. After the contraption had managed not to dismember anyone for several minutes, Nault worked up his courage.
What, if you don't mind my asking, is the intended purpose of this dog?
It was a stretch to call the thing a dog, but under the riveted metal, patches of glued rabbit hide, and various protruding cogs, it was most definitely dog-ish. It had at least 4 legs, what might have been a tail, and a face only a mother could love, assuming she was blind and possibly insane.
I mean, I understood the robotic rats. We needed something to power the Optimal carriages. But why a dog?
Stokes stood, placing the screwdriver behind his ear for safekeeping. Wiping grease on his leather apron, he gave the canine robot a swift kick. It clanked and whirred back to life.
Companionship, my dear Mr. Nobbs. Far too long man has gone alone in this savage world. We need loyal pets to fill our needs of love and affection. Or some such tosh. I don't know, I just built it.
I get that, but what about, dogs? Proper dogs, I mean.
Nault drummed his nervous fingers around the edge of his clipboard. He moved, placing the considerable bulk of Master Stokes between himself and the mutt, as if he were a Blastor. Better safe than sorry.
Ah, far too common for the modern-day gentleman, don't you think? Nah, what we need is a lovable automaton, not some run-of-the-mill, pee-on-your-copper-teacher slippers, flea-ridden natural animal. No, my DOGGY can do all that in 1/10 the time. Besides, can a regular dog do this?
Stokes patted his apron, searching the many pockets. With a triumphant flourish, he produced a small leather ball.
Fetch, boy!
The ball disappeared across the lawn towards the campus. Nothing happened.
Very impressive, sir. It's just, what if this dog is anything like your other creations?
Stokes retrieved a second leather ball and repeated the process. No response.
What do you mean?
Drawing a sinister whatchamacallit from his toolbox, Stokes began prying open the mutt's cranium.
Your auto-feeding fork, for instance.
Stokes prodded at the small tubes and gears inside the canine's brain.
Smashing success, that one.
Yes, sir, but as a lawn trimmer. And what about your self-aware top hat?
As I recall, they still use it for public executions. Get to your point, lad.
Nault set his jaw and plunged onward.
What I mean to say, sir, is that your inventions never seem to serve their original purpose, and in fact, quite often render their users maimed, amnesiac, or in some cases impotent. Do you truly feel the world is ready to bring home a family pet that may well leave little Jimmy a one-eared eunuch?
Stokes sighed and replaced the brain pan with a metallic clang. He placed an affectionate hand on Nault's shoulder. His knees buckled and creaked beneath the force.
Mr. Nobbs, you're a good lad. You work hard, you keep a tidy toolbox. You didn't complain when my earwax remover erased 3 years of your memory.
Nault blinked.
Wait, what?
But what you young bucks don't understand is that mechanistry is not about what you build, or even about what it's meant to do. The heart and soul of mechanistry is seeing what happens when you flip the switch. If it's not broke, re-engineer it. That's our motto. Only through random experimentation and unexpected outcomes may we strive bravely into this new world.
Stokes' grip tightened around Nault's shoulder as he grew more passionate.
Where would we be without Master Ockevold's flame-retardant tea cozy, or Senior Member Willicky's heat-seeking apple corer? Mechanists build not because we can, nor even because we should. Nay, we build because nature's done a piss-poor job of it all, and it's time someone else tried a hand.
Stokes tossed a third leather ball to his apprentice. Nault sighed, and in a fit of frustration, hefted the ball with all his inconsiderable strength. To the astonishment of both of them, it sailed away in a gentle arc, headed straight for a second-story window. Dirt showered the 2 men from the spot where the dog had been. A stream of smoke raced away, on course to intercept the flying target,
With a mighty leap and an aerial twist, the mechanized hound caught the ball between its teeth. It flipped twice and landed gently on its paws beside the university's west wall. Then exploded. Stokes stared at the smoldering crater. Bits of wall crumbled backwards into a classroom. All that remained of the robotic pooch was a blackened skull, still gnawing furiously at the leather ball. Students rushed about. Some were putting out small fires, others extracting his stunned teacher from the rubble. Stokes tapped his fingers thoughtfully against his chin.
You may have a point this time, Mr. Nobbs.
Nault, sir. Nault peeked out from behind Master Stokes, eyeing the chunks of what had just been a dog.
Perhaps this one is more suited for public service. Give Captain Fergus a ring. The city patrol could always use a hand keeping the local riffraff in line.
Nault looked at the crowd gathering around the classroom's new back door. Something tells me he will be here shortly, sir.
Ah, very good.
Stokes took a deep breath of the smoky air, smiling like a child who had just made his first slingshot. He let it out in a rush.
All in all, I'd call this another smashing success, wouldn't you?
Nault sighed. I do believe it will go down as one of your more, notorious works, sir. The remaining bit of mutt released its hard-won leather ball, gave a mechanical bark, and burst into flames.